On this week's episode, it's a return for Blade Runner and Constantine. What's discovered in the mines of Moria? And why is PlayStation so mad at Xbox over Call of Duty? All this and more as we once again delve into the pop culture cosmos. And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, of course, Pop Culture Cosmos, Humanica Media, The Happy Hoarder, and everything that we do here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, including the fact that we are the #1 tabletop RPG streamer right out there on Facebook. And if you go ahead and support all that, plus the many things that we do at Pop Culture Cosmos, because we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every day at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook. And if you can, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my own good friend, or without my good friend. He is our own man of Numenor from the Pop Culture Cosmos. You got to go ahead and check out what he's doing today at Pop Culture Cosmos, popculturecosmos.com. The Happy Hoarder, everything that he's doing today for his great show, the Super PS Gamescast, and of course his amazing book, which is called Congratulations You Suck, which you can get right now at Amazon and Barnes & Noble. It is my good friend. It is Josh Peterson. What's up, man?
What is up? What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm just excited because some of the things that we have been hoping for a long time have come to fruition in the past few days.
Yeah, a lot of unexpected things have gone down.
Absolutely. A lot of things that we like. So that's always a good thing. And we'll be talking about that here on the show. But everything all right with the Happy Hoarder lining up okay?
Yeah, everything's coming together. I don't have a for sure launch date yet, but it's it's we're in the process of getting things organized and getting things done. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. And you can check out the latest updates for that at the Happy Hoarder on Facebook. And of course, coming up at thehappyhoarder.com. But we got a great show lined up for you. On the back end, I do want to mention that Himanish Goel will be stopping by as we cover the possibly growing movie industry in the country of India and why Hollywood is now looking at Bollywood for a lot more than what was expected in the past due to some different circumstances. So we'll cover that on today's show. Plus, also as well, what to watch coming up this week. The latest seasons for The Handmaid's Tale, the final season for Atlanta, Confess Fletch. Fletch has returned. We'll talk about that, plus a return for Quantum Leap as well. Plus, we'll be talking a little bit about Tokyo Game Show, who was there and who was not, Lord of the Rings, Episode 4, and a major controversy that was sparked by PlayStation over Call of Duty. That's coming up on the show as well. But first, my friend, some great news, because not only officially was Blade Runner 2099, which is the sequel to Blade Runner 2049, the movie, it was officially announced in production as a series for Amazon. Not only was that a greenlit, but also greenlit was HBO saying, well, actually not HBO, but their parent company, Warner Brothers and all that, greenlighting a Constantine movie, a sequel with Keanu Reeves. Now, they ditched the series that they were developing for HBO Max, but you get the return of a much beloved, very well thought of now movie for it. It wasn't exactly well thought of at the time, but I think it has aged rather well. I enjoy it. A lot of the characters you may be able to bring back. Your thoughts on a return of Constantine and Blade Runner back to pop culture, the current scene, and back to the world of entertainment?
Sorry, I had some mute on. Yeah, it was really unexpected. I had no idea until like I checked my text messages that night, and you had sent me that thing. Had this been being talked about for a while? Was this something that?
Well, the 2099, you and I had mentioned that one of the trade papers had dropped news that they were thinking about going ahead and bringing that back to life. So that the Blade Runner part was something that was not as unexpected. The Constantine, that was part of
Yeah.
the Friday news dump. That was part of the Friday news dump. That was something that was quite surprising with Keanu Reeves returning that role, especially after what happened with the latest Matrix movie and how
Mhm.
poorly that was received. I am truly surprised that that is back underway.
Well, I mean, okay. So looking at the Matrix, I don't really think it has anything to do with Keanu Reeves. I think that was just a movie that nobody wanted, and it came out,
Well,
and
if it was good, probably a lot of people would have
if
wanted
it
to.
was good, but I mean, they really mined that universe dry. I mean, I know we've talked about that before, but they mined that universe dry, so there really wasn't any more story to tell from that point forward. But with Constantine, like, there's a whole rich history and a whole bunch of mythology that has not been like talked about. So yeah, I mean, it's great that that they made that announcement that he's coming back. And it's just it was unexpected because for so long we've had all this talk about projects featuring Constantine. Whether it's Matt Ryan is going to be playing in Justice League Dark, or Colin Farrell is going to be playing the new Constantine, or there's going to be something added into the DCU, or it's an HBO Max show, or whatever it might be. There's been a lot of talk about it, but no wheels have ever started turning on it. And I know that with the Keanu Reeves Renaissance we talked about, we're like, oh yeah, it'd be cool if they did that, but I honestly had no idea that this was even something they were discussing.
Well, it just seems to me that it is, like you said, cashing in on somewhat of the Keanu Reeves revival, the Keanu
Mhm.
Sans per se, as far as a lot of the other projects not named Matrix have been very successful for him. Obviously, the John Wick series going into John Wick 4 next year has been a truly great success and a revival of sorts for Keanu Reeves. So he is still thought of as a pretty good box office star right now. So I think
Right.
that now is the time to do it. I do not expect though that with whatever happens with this DC universe, coming up in Flashpoint, how it's rewritten or whatever the future is going forward that they decide. Because I haven't updated on the show, but the individual that they had picked as the person being overseeing the person overseeing the DC universe, the future Kevin Feige, the
Mhm.
DC version of it, anyways, has decided not to take that position. So it's still up in the air exactly who will be leading this future for the DC universe. Whatever is made out of it, I don't expect Keanu Reeves to be a part of it. Maybe John Constantine, played by someone else, but I don't think Keanu Reeves will be in this role too much outside of a major movie reboot like this.
So do you, okay, so I guess
Or
my
should
my
I say sequel? It's a sequel out
it's a
of.
sequel. So do you think that they're going to incorporate him into the DCU, or do you think there's going to be like one of those other like Joker type flicks?
I just think it's going to be, like you said, another one of those Joker type flicks. But have a feeling that they may introduce the character Constantine, but it will not be Keanu Reeves. I really think Keanu Reeves would not be interested in playing this role a number of times. I think Keanu Reeves has been approached with an idea on doing this again, and he liked it, so he's going to go for it. He's not doing this, I'm assuming, for the cash or anything. He just enjoyed working on Constantine and enjoys the character. I don't foresee him doing this a whole lot more times per
Mhm.
se, but I do see him doing this at least one more time, and hopefully it'll have much more success than the Matrix Resurrections.
So I'm going to take the opposite stance here. Like I think
Oh,
that with him doing so many John Wick films, I don't think that it's outside the realm of possibility for him to take something in the DCU. I don't foresee that being an issue. Like I would love to see a Justice League Dark movie with Constantine.
Well, you know, there was always rumors that he and Kevin Feige have been talking about him being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just something that I'm looking forward to seeing with Keanu Reeves himself being a part of maybe the DCEU and maybe even the MCU going
because
forward.
that how cool would that be though to see like if they were to do a um
Well, he's been talked about as Ghost Rider.
oh, has he? Okay. But I mean, how rad would it be though for them to go ahead and finish like the Dark Side saga and have Constantine involved in it? Because
That would
that's how remember the what was it, the Apocalypse War, or whatever the animated flick was, where Constantine was like the main character.
I think it would be great. I just don't see him playing this role a number of times. You may be able to get him involved in maybe doing some cameos within the DCU. I just don't see him spending an inordinate amount of time with this character outside of Constantine, the movie, or a sequel to that if this movie does well. If this future Constantine does well and revives the Constantine brand as far as a standalone entity, I could see him doing a sequel for that. But if maybe that's the case, that will green light for him a possibility of a DCEU future. But I don't know, man. I just don't think that I would count on it too much because I know he's got a series that he's in the works with doing. There's John Wick 4, like I said, and we don't know if it's going to finish with John Wick 4 or John Wick 5. He's got
Yeah.
a lot on his plate, man. It's not like he's just doing this.
He's always been good though at like knowing what the fans want and delivering.
I love I enjoyed the movie at the time. I've enjoyed it more in the times I've seen it since because I've seen it more than once now over the course of the
Mhm.
years. I enjoyed it more for what it is now, I think, than even what I did then. I think a lot of people have grown to enjoy it over the years, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do to in return to this role in the return to this role. But I'm hoping they can bring all the characters back that were such a great part of this movie as well. I'm hoping they can bring everyone back that was a part of it.
So do you foresee them getting Shia LaBeouf back?
I that would be well. He's the one that died. Well, sorry, spoilers. He's the one that died. I don't know if I see him getting him because he was a his character died and b he would probably be well, I'd say he'd probably be a little bit hard to get because a lot of stuff is going on with his life right now. But Rachel Weisz, Jimon Honsu, they're doing stuff in fact, Jimon is doing stuff with the DCU with what's going on with Shazam. So he's already doing stuff
Yeah,
already in that.
yeah.
But Rachel Weisz, she is a tremendous actress. She could be still part of it. There's talk about, like I said, Dimon Honsu. You could have Peter Stormare, who played the role of the devil in the movie. Tilda Swinton, she's a great actress. Obviously, she played a key role in it as well, and her character survived. So Shia LaBeouf is, I think, the only one that I probably would say is a safe bet not to return.
Yeah, I know. I was commenting with this to my wife today. Like, yeah, it'd be cool, but he's also, he's just discovered what was it? Christianity, I think, was the religion he found. So it might be a hard sell getting him to do something like this again.
Yeah, he's just doing some stuff all over the place. He's talked about how his life has went recently, and yeah, I just think he would be a hard get at this point in time for real reasons out there in the real world, and then also as well for the storyline reasons because his character, spoilers, has already passed away. But I will say that there's a lot to look forward to with what's going on with Constantine. But any
Let's
last thoughts? Well, it's Blade Runner
Yeah,
2099.
that's what I wanted to talk about. Yeah,
Any last thoughts on that?
what do you think this show is going to be about? Like, do you think it's going to pick up like the story of Ryan Gosling's character? Because it's not 2049, it's 2099. So
Yeah.
that would put it.
Technically, he could live because
He
he is.
could, but that would
Spoilers:
put
he's
it.
an android.
Yeah, but they would not be able to close off Harrison Ford's story
Yeah,
because chances are he'd be dead by that time. So
yeah.
I'm curious, like what is this going to cover? We're
Well,
looking.
unless Harrison Ford was an android.
Hmm,
That's always been talked about.
it's possible.
In fact, actually, Ridley Scott stated that he was. You never know. But
But
yeah,
this
I
is like
think
one of those things where they go and they like retcon, old stuff. Just like J.K. Rowling's done this a lot with Harry Potter characters, like just because this would be cool if it's something the audience wants. But yeah, I don't know.
I just am curious about where they're going to take it. But there was a rebellion that was forming at the end of Blade Runner 2049. So I'm
Mhm.
assuming that part of it they will probably go ahead and either branch out or resolve in some form or fashion, or they may extend it into that series and make it the basis of that series. But obviously, they have a good idea worked out with it. Ridley Scott is going to be an executive producer on it. So I think it's a great way to finally tie up all those loose ends with Blade Runner. This is actually going to be a series and not a movie. So I am looking forward to it. I think it's a great idea, and I'm looking forward to it when it appears on Amazon.
Do you okay? So I know we're gonna kind of like split topics here. The Lord of the Rings last night reached a point where the formatting became an issue to me. Like the whole I have to end every episode with a cliffhanger. Like that is starting to become it's starting to bog the show. It bogged the last night's episode down a little bit.
Well, they're taking notes from a lot of other shows, including Game of Thrones, when they do that.
Right. So do you think that knowing this, do you think that Blade Runner is going to suffer from that whole thing? Because Blade Runner's like pacing is what it's so great about those movies is that the pacing is so well put together and the revelations are all everything's meant to build up to one final revelation, but when you have to have every episode lead into some kind of revelation to make you want to watch the next episode, is it going to suffer from pacing issues like last night's Lord of the Rings did?
I hope not, but again, this is entertainment in Hollywood, and you are trying to stretch this last part of the Blade Runner story out. I'm expecting only one season of it, but what if it does really well? What if Amazon wants to greenlight another season for it? Who knows? But I'm assuming it's just going to be one season as far as the telling of this final part, this final chapter of the Blade Runner story. But I have a feeling that you will see this type of scenario because they feel it leads the viewers into watching another episode if you leave them with a cliffhanger.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. It just it
I mean, we
kind of
see it on all these shows, man. Stranger Things, every popular show, we see them always end on the cliffhanger each and every week.
I know it just like it rubs me the wrong way a little bit, because it kind of like it doesn't make it when you're doing something like that in episodic format, it just does not, and you can't. I don't know. This is where I'm like torn. Like, do I want something to be told through a streaming service, or would I rather just have it as a movie? Because like after last night's episode, not last night's, but Friday's episode of Lord of the Rings, I was like, okay, see, this is where I would rather have all this done in a movie as opposed to a streaming show. Is Blade Runner going to do that same thing?
I'm sure it's going to follow many of the same footsteps, but in fact, I'm just glad that it's out at all. I'm just glad that they're going to be putting it out in a format at all. I'm just happy for the smaller things. I'm just glad that the story that you and I have been touting since we've known each other,
Right.
since we've been doing this show since 2016, we've been touting how good the world of Blade Runner is and encouraging people right and left. I've had arguments over how well the Blade Runner storyline is for both the original movie and 2049. I've had arguments over this about how
Yeah.
well it's done.
Oh, it's
Our
amazing.
all-time top 20 movies. Guess where it's at? You can go to popculturecosmos.com right now and see where it lands for me as far as the Blade Runner universe is concerned. I'm not going to throw spoilers there, but it's pretty darn high. So for us, we have just had such an affinity with this series. I'm just glad to see it any type of format. I understand a movie would be better, but Josh, after the performance of the box office performance of Blade Runner 2049, I don't think Amazon was willing to go ahead and finance a movie end of it, but to bring it out in a series, they're just looking for that type of content for their Prime format. I think that's probably the best thing we're going to get. Same thing with Mass Effect. If it ever does get announced for what was rumored to be for, excuse me, what was rumored to be for Amazon, I'm assuming that that's they just wanted to put it out in a more bankable for them series format.
You know, it's a shame that the original Blade Runner came out when it did. I know it was like a masterpiece of filmmaking, helped put Ridley Scott on top, but it's such an amazing story. It feels like it's wasted not have it's like wasted on today's audience having not come out today. But also I don't think that it could have been released today
No,
because
it's so visionary for its time.
it's so
That's why it's
visionary for
endured.
its right, but the story is so like complicated and philosophical. And I don't think that modern audiences, and this might, I'm not trying to sound snobby or anything, but modern audiences, like, they don't have the attention span for it.
Well, we'll
You know,
see
like
if they.
we
Yeah.
live in a time of instant gratification. Like, I have to have this mystery solved now. There has to be an explosion every 5 seconds. There's no movies being released anymore where you have to sit there and like truly think about what's going on.
Well, we'll see. The animated series, I think it was critically lauded, but we don't know how it well did popularity wise because it was never announced for another season. But the Blade Runner universe is something that I'm hoping will be extended at least this one time with a series to bring a finality and hopefully a close to this Blade Runner saga with Blade Runner 2099. So I'm hoping for some good things, but I'm just happy, like I said, Constantine, Blade Runner 2099, two properties you and I have been championing for quite some time. You've been championing, of course, Constantine for quite some time, so I'm happy for you. Blade Runner is something we've both been talking about for quite a while, so I'm glad to see people will get a chance to relive these universes in the not too distant future.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Same. I mean, it'll be great to go back, but let's hope for profitability, I guess, so that it is something that was worth the studio's time.
Absolutely. So, what are your thoughts out there on Blade Runner 2099 and Constantine? Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, before we hit the break, I wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about what's going on with Lord of the Rings Episode 4. You said you had some issues with it. I still think it was a pretty good episode. Not quite as well as what was going on, but it's still leagues above what I'm watching with Game of Thrones. Sorry, Game of Thrones fans. Game of Thrones is still to me just like checking the boxes. The usual Game of Thrones standard stuff, not really that much outside the box. Lord of the Rings still has its moments when it really charms. It actually envisions in this episode, spoilers, that going to be a fall of Numenor, which we already know is going to happen in the series at some point in time. Plus, the discovery in the mines of Moria, as far as Mithril is concerned, was discovered by the by the by the individuals that were there in the mines of Moria, as far as the dwarves are concerned. So, your thoughts on this, my friend, as far as the episode itself? I know you didn't like the ending where the cliffhanger ending. Well, it just asks you to go ahead and come back next week. But were there at least some good parts of the episode that you enjoyed?
Yeah, no, okay, so I didn't dislike the episode. I enjoyed it. I still am enjoying the series. It just feels like because they're having to expand the story to cross so many episodes, there's just parts where it feels like the pacing is was off last night. Like I didn't notice it with the first 3 episodes, but last night's episode really brought me back to reality and made me realize like, oh yeah, this is a show that's going to last like 12 episodes.
This could be a show that's supposed to hopefully last 5 seasons. So got to
Right.
stretch it out
Right.
at some point.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like it I was along for the ride before and like I didn't notice the time length of the episodes, but last night I did and I was like this is too short, I want to see more of this. So I don't know,
I
it'd be
guess that's not
cool.
a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but it'd just be cool. Like I hope that I don't know, it'd be cool to see like extended cuts of the episodes. Like you could tell that there were things they filmed that they
Yeah.
wanted to put in there, but they couldn't just because they didn't have enough time to do it.
That'll come out on the DVD, the extended versions,
I'd watch it. I would watch it absolutely.
just like the DVDs themselves that originally back in the day. Actually, the best way to watch the original movies that came out would be via the extended editions. I'm just going to say that out loud. But what are your thoughts out there on episode 4 of Lord of the Rings, where the foreshadowing of what will happen to Numenor, and also as well the discovery in the mines of Moria by the dwarves about finding some mithril, the enchanted mithril indeed. What are
Oh,
your thoughts on that? Go
oh,
on.
sorry. One more thought. Like mithril. So that weren't they mining mithril when they accidentally like awoke that like
Balrog.
fire demon? Yeah, the fire demon Balrog thing. Yeah. Okay. I was trying to explain to my kids that last night, and they
One
were
is leading into the other.
yeah,
They
because
were
they
mining for gold when they discover mithril, and when now they are mining for mithril when they discover
Balrog. Yes.
yes.
Okay. I was not too sure. I couldn't remember my Middle Earth mythology there, but that makes sense. And then the because for originally I thought that what was in that chest
Mhm.
that the king was showing off, I thought that was because weren't there were stones like gems that were made with the light of the that tree from the elven homeland. I thought that that's what one of the dwarves had, but I guess it I was wrong on that one.
No, it's one leading into the other, my friend. One leading into the other.
Yes, yes.
But what are your thoughts out there on Lord of the Rings Episode 4 and the series so far? Please let us know. PopCultureCosmos@yahoo.com. Before we hit the break, one last thing I wanted to talk to you about. Before we really get into some major Tokyo Game Show and video game talk on the backside of the show, wanted to hit you up with Halo. Bonnie Ross, who was the head of 343 Studios, which has been responsible for overseeing the Halo universe for the past decade plus. She has left the company and Xbox entirely. She's to do other things. There's a lot of disarray going on right now in regards to the Halo property because ever since the release of Halo Infinite, which was a year late, which was still a sore point for me, everybody was saying, "Oh, it's a pretty good game, pretty good as far as the results, pretty good as far as the multiplayer is concerned, pretty enjoyable experience." But since then, the follow up, as far as adding new content, adding new seasons, etc., stuff that they promised that they've had to renege on, that they've had to cancel out in regards to the split screen co-op as far as the couch co-op is concerned, which has been a major staple of the Halo universe. They decided to go ahead and get that out of there. A lot of problems going on right now, a lot of things going on. The Halo universe in the past 15 years has not been handled the way I'd like to see it. Your thoughts on the Halo universe before we hit the break?
Yeah, okay. So like seeing Bonnie Ross step down, it was unexpected. Like it's not something because like I had hoped, I had hoped that they had a plan for like what was going to happen with Infinite afterwards. Even at the Tokyo Game Show, I was hoping to see some kind of like announcement about like story DLC or even like, hey, the campaign or maybe footage from campaign co-op. But no,
Nope.
not really. Yeah, I guess that's not going to happen. So it makes me wonder like Infinite was a good entry. I mean, I didn't like Halo. Okay, a lot of the things that 343 has done with Halo, I have not liked. They opened up this new avenue with Halo 4. They're like, oh, the Forerunners. I wanted to know more about what was going on with the Forerunners, and there's like a cool story to be told. Totally skipped over it in favor of novels. And then Halo 5 came out, and it's just one of those like, what in the world is this? And now we're back to fighting the Covenant again. They don't they have the I guess they look like a company right now that has this big franchise that people one time really loved, and they've grown the universe so much that they don't know what to do with it next. So now they're making all these promises that they can't fulfill.
It looks like it, man, because ever since Halo Infinite came out, again, and a year late from it was supposed to be part of the Xbox Series X and S launch, and it unfortunately did not materialize. And I was very critical of 343 because of that. I was going to eat my words, and I was going to eat, my words on that as far as the game is concerned because it came out to pretty good acclaim. The
Hmm.
multiplayer came out, and it really started to click with players, and
Yeah.
then they just stopped supporting it.
Right.
They stopped putting out stuff for it, stopped, putting out seasons, stopped putting out DLC and content, and they were focusing more on the Halo universe as far as add-ons and microtransactions, and stopped trying to go ahead and put in what's good and what people want in regards to Halo, like the split screen. The announcement of the cancellation of co-op couch split screen was a big, big turnoff for fans of Halo.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where like I really hope that this is not happening because I at one time had so much fondness for the Halo universe, but now it doesn't really mean that much to me. And from what I'm reading
Same
and
here.
hearing and seeing, it's like this is the death cry of a franchise that is about to fade into obscurity unless something is done to correct the course they're on.
20 years ago, Halo was the franchise for the Xbox universe. 20
Oh
years
yeah,
later, it's
y-
not. It's
there
something that Xbox has grown beyond Halo. That's the problem, I think, right there.
right. There are 10 years of my life that were, I mean, some of my best memories were shaped by Halos 1 through 3.
Yep. Same here, my friend. Same
Yeah.
here. But what are your thoughts right now on the current state of the Halo universe? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, it's Hamanish Goel talking about what's good and what's interesting about the future for the state of the box office, the state of the movie industry in India, with the success of RRR and the possibility that India may become a major focus for the movie industry. He's going to talk about that, plus his thoughts on what could become the next breakout hits for India and what he believes, where he believes the industry, the movie industry, Bollywood per se, will go next. That's coming up after the break. And then on the back end, Josh and I'll be talking about what you should be catching on the TV and the movies. Also, as well, we're going to be talking about Tokyo Game Show and some major comments on Call of Duty. That's coming up after the break. This is the Pop Culture Cosmos. And we're about to close out the shows, the Pop Culture Cosmos. Want to thank once again Hamanish Goel for talking about the current state of the entertainment industry in India. Before we head on out, my friend, wanted to go ahead and mention that there were some comments that you and I actually were DMing each other for back and forth for in regards to Call of Duty and the future of Call of Duty. It was said in and around the time of Tokyo Game Show that was happening, which Sony no-showed, which was kind of surprising, especially after the PlayStation State of Play last week. But the CEO for the US side for PlayStation, Jim Ryan, commented about his displeasure about Call of Duty eventually, or possibly, in fact, it most likely will not be staying on the platform after its a few years after its current contract is released. So Xbox and Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, has said that the Call of Duty platform will stay on part to it will finish the contract it has with PlayStation. It will stay on a few years after, but will not guarantee anything beyond that, which tells everybody that says that I think that there's going to be a day where Call of Duty games will be released not for the PlayStation platform. Jim Ryan has taken exception to this. Your thoughts on this? Because I have some pointed comments on this myself.
Okay, first of all, let me just say no offense to Melinda. All right.
I know she's a
This
huge PlayStation fan.
absolutely, and I know that this is like the whole PlayStation community is so toxic, you know. And I know like Microsoft has its, its thorns in the side too, but like this is like if they want to guarantee that these games from like Activision and Bethesda will not release on Sony, yeah, keep making comments like this because Phil Spencer has also gone on the record to say that they will continue to distribute to PlayStation if it makes sense. You know, I think I don't think Microsoft is dumb enough to be like, oh, hey, we make a butt ton of money distributing games to the PlayStation. So let's just stop doing that. Like it literally makes no sense. And like just Jim Ryan's comments are, it's like a little baby not getting what he wants, just making random assumptions. I don't foresee Call of Duty being pulled off of PlayStation. I don't foresee Elder Scrolls being not released on PlayStation. I can see Starfield being an exclusive, but I think it's going to be a timed exclusive. I don't PlayStation gatekeeps games where I don't see Microsoft doing that because Microsoft likes to make money.
Well, I say at some point they're going to have to go ahead and be exclusive. And all respects and all apologies to Melinda. When you spend $69 billion on a company, you should make some exclusives that people are going to want and people are going to go want to play. And if Call of Duty eventually gets on the side of Xbox and stays on the side of Xbox and PC, I think that's not a bad thing. I don't, if PlayStation fans are upset about this, I'm sorry. It just, PlayStation fans have to understand that there are PlayStation exclusives that will never reach an Xbox platform. So
Mm-hmm.
if Xbox players want to play it, they have to buy a PlayStation platform, and vice versa. Call of Duty is currently the most popular game on PlayStation, and it sells more on PlayStation than any other platform. I get it.
Right.
So you're right. You don't want to throw away that kind of money now, but at some point in time, if you really want Xbox to go ahead and swing the momentum and people really get into Xbox Games Pass and the whole nine yards, if you really want to go ahead and switch the console race on its head, you are going to have to make a dramatic move like that in order to go from number 3 to number 1.
Right, right. But like I said, they also want to make money. And Phil Spencer said if it makes sense, we will continue to distribute to these platforms. Um, looking at this, that's something that Sony, if the shoe is on the opposite foot, Phil Spencer would not be crying the way that Jim Ryan is. And if also like they would not like they would just be like, okay, well we'll figure it out. Sony has always gone out of their way to go to people like Square and say like, hey, we want to make sure that this game stays exclusive to this platform. And then once the sales start dipping, then they see that like, oh, people are so willing to dump Sony to play like a Final Fantasy game on the Xbox, right? With the release of 10.2, 10 in the 10.2 package, Final Fantasy Zodiac, whatever it is, gamers go and they gravitate towards these games on the Xbox. So it's like this constant like, oh, hey, we can't lose with grace here, and I think that that's always going to be an issue for Sony because it's going to be their comments like this that guarantee that things that Microsoft has control over it's going to guarantee that Microsoft will be unwilling to play ball with Sony because they've created such a hostile environment.
The crossplay issue was a big issue, and PlayStation's reluctance to go ahead and play ball with that, I think that took a lot of gamers the wrong way. But PlayStation is still, with Nintendo, the highest platforms in the industry. Xbox still, even after all this time, is a nice number 3, a good selling number 3, a very strong number 3. But the thing is, they're still number 3. And again, I understand it's always not about console numbers. That's what they say on the front. It's just about how many people can we get to go ahead and subscribe to Xbox Games Pass. I get that. But at some point in time, you want to go ahead and build your platform as the platform for gamers to go to. So you are going to have to make tough choices. So if it means keeping Starfield as an exclusive, or if it means keeping some of these games that you have now in your library with Activision Blizzard or Bethesda as a exclusive, then you're just going to have to do that because PlayStation would do no less if they could.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. No, they wouldn't even hesitate to do that. What I'm thinking is going to happen, I think they're waiting until they get the Xbox apps built into the TVs, and
I
then they're
can't wait
going,
for Samsung. I can't wait for that.
yeah, to where you don't need a console. And I think that when that happens, I think they're gonna just steamroll Sony. There's gonna be no mercy left because now, they don't. If gamers just have a PlayStation, all they got to do is turn the app on their TV to play Xbox.
Absolutely. I'm looking so forward to that because I know they're working with Samsung on providing that to newer televisions like mine. So I'm looking forward to that. I know a lot of people are as well, but again, we're siding with Xbox on this issue simply because of the fact that again they spent almost $70 billion. You got to be able to go ahead and start putting out some exclusive things with all that money to make your platform the best platform for gamers. So we'll see what happens, but this constant Call of Duty issue is still out there with Modern Warfare 2 that's on the way, citing new features, looking pretty good in its multiplayer right now in the open beta on PlayStation, ironically, of all things. So we want to hear your thoughts on the future of Call of Duty. Would you be accepting of the fact that if it just went to an exclusive on Xbox, on the Xbox and the Xbox Games Pass? Let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Leading into what we were talking about as far as the Tokyo Game Show, not a whole lot was brought out. Again, Sony was a no-show for it. Xbox was there. They're trying hard to still court that audience, which they've been a severe number 3 in, but some things were shown off at the Tokyo Game Show nonetheless. Some decent things like Wolong, the Fallen Dynasty. That looks like it's a really good game coming out. They showed off some things as far as Street Fighter 6. So, was there anything at Tokyo Game Show this year that really impressed you? I know we've been critical of Tokyo Game Show in the past, but it seemed like it was a pretty good show overall.
Yeah, you know what I really liked was the onslaught of Yakuza games that are coming out. Like those games always like I like them because they remind me of like an old romp on a PS2 game. You know, just like they at heart they look like they remind me of the PlayStation 2, and like I always love that era of gaming. But I've been in and out of that series for a while, and I'm seeing all this stuff. I'm like, this looks fun because now they've gone through their paces. They know what the gamers want. Like a Dragon was a great game, so now they're kind of like, okay, well let's have some fun with this, and it's making me want to go back to it. Also, really excited about going back to Star Ocean. Like that's an unexpected. I know they've talked about that for a while. It was kind of an unexpected drop there, and showing the gameplay and all that. So I'm excited about that one, and also God of War. Of course, I'm excited to play that one.
Absolutely. But yeah, not a whole lot shown off by Sony. It was more Nintendo and a lot of Xbox at the show, and obviously a lot of third parties. So, still a good time indeed. And again, something that is looking a little bit brighter for the Tokyo Game Show going forward. Again, we've been very critical of it in the past. We've been very critical of it in the past, but I'm glad to see that Tokyo Game Show is now treated again like it once was as a serious part of the gaming scene. So, big props for the Tokyo Game Show this year. But what are your thoughts? Did you catch anything good at the Tokyo Game Show this year? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, we're almost through another fantastic episode. But before we head on out, I wanted to go ahead and give big props to Viola Davis. Viola Davis on the fact. Oh, feedback there. Viola Davis on the fact that she did such a great job with The Woman King, which is the number one movie at the box office here in the U.S., garnering a much more than expected $20 million right there around at the U.S. box office. A+ cinema score, great word of mouth on this film. Very good, very happy for her because she's such a great she's such a great actress. She plays Amanda Waller really effectively in all the DC stuff and the Suicide Squad stuff that she does. So really looking forward to getting a chance to catching The Woman King myself. But before we head on out, my friend, I wanted to go ahead and give people not only that, as far as an idea to what to watch this week, but also as well The Handmaid's Tale, this critically lauded series, which is going to be ending with season 6. Season 5 dropped this weekend. Atlanta, which is in its final season, with Donald Glover doing a tremendous job on one of the best shows on television as well. That dropped as well. You can catch those shows on FX and Hulu, as far as respectively for Atlanta and The Handmaid's Tale. And last but not least is John Hamm in a limited released movie that's now also out on digital, The Return of Fletch. It's gotten mediocre reviews. It's called Confess Fletch. Okay reviews on it, I should say. Metacritic is right now in the 60s. It's a return to a character which I once really loved as far as from Chevy Chase in that original Fletch movie, and which I didn't in Fletch Lives, which was an absolutely horrid movie. Went from really, 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 really good to really, 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 really bad. It's the
So
kind
wait,
of
It
It's
already
the
came
kind of
out?
movie. Well, let me just say this: Fletch Lives. It's the kind of movie that kills the IP for
Mm.
3 decades, as this did. But any last thoughts on Confess Fletch or Handmaid's Tale or
So
Atlanta?
I haven't watched any of these shows. I've seen the first like couple episodes of Atlanta, and I didn't stop watching because I didn't like it. It's just too many other things going on at the time. But yeah, I was actually like kind of excited about Fletch, but now you're telling me it's not even worth watching. So
No, I said A Fletch Lives is absolutely horrible. Confess
okay,
Fletch is the latest one with John Hamm reprising the role that was once made famous by Chevy Chase in the outstanding
okay,
Fletch movie. The original Fletch movie is a killer, funny movie.
yeah,
Confess Fletch has gotten pretty good reviews, like okay reviews, around the 60s. So it's gotten acceptable movies. You know, comedies these days are roasted by the critics all the time. So any
yeah,
comedy in the 60s has got to be at least considered for your times as far as A Few Chuckles is concerned. But it's not being released in wide audiences as far as movies, only like 600 theaters here in the US, but mainly a straight to digital movie. So any thoughts on it before we head on out?
No, I mean I want to watch it. I didn't even realize there were 3 Fletch movies. Like this is news to me. So
This is the third one, by the way.
okay, so
Yes.
don't watch the second one. I've only seen the first one, which was a really
Yes.
funny movie. So that's why I
That
was
you should
hoping that
say, yes.
this
Keep
would
it
be some.
there. Maybe give
Okay.
this one a chance. Don't watch Fletch Lives. Don't watch Fletch
Okay.
Lives.
All right. Well,
Yes.
that's good. That's good to know. So now I won't go. I mean, it's not no skin off my back because I didn't even know it existed. But yeah, okay. So I'm still gonna watch
Yeah,
this
I
one
think the
on.
studio and Chevy Chase don't want to say the same thing,
Okay. All
that
right.
it
Yeah.
doesn't
So
exist.
I'll still watch this new one. Okay. So I just yeah. All right. I'll check it out and then I'll give you my thoughts next week.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting to see what kind of new take we can get on the Fletch character. But yes, Confess Fletch. It's now available out on digital for most people. Again, small there's a limited release for it, so if you want to catch it in theaters, go for it. But right now, it's easily accessible on digital, so check it out today. Confess Fletch. So, what are your thoughts out there? Are you going to be catching the final season of Atlanta, the next to final season for The Handmaid's Tale, Confess Fletch, which is available out on digital and in limited theaters, or also as well, are you going to catch The Woman King with Viola Davis, which is the #1 movie at the box office here in the States? Please let us know your thoughts. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. I cannot thank you enough, as always, for being a part of it. Any last thoughts before we head on out?
No, I mean, I hope they release some story beats on Blade Runner 2099 here soon. But that was probably the highlight of the week, even more so than Constantine.
Absolutely. See, I know you, my friend. I was so happy to go ahead and share the thoughts on Constantine, and you heard the thoughts on Blade Runner 2099. We're Blade Runner through and through. I knew I
Absolutely.
liked you for some reason.
Nice. Yeah. This is why this is why we're friends.
Absolutely. In fact, some people could even say we've been talking about Blade Runner for 6 years now. So,
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
absolutely. So, please, everybody out there, when it comes around, we'll let you know. We will let, we will definitely let you know when
Yes.
when Blade Runner 2099 comes around. We'll definitely let you know on that. So, for Josh Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great